Well, we're out here in a very high-stress environment. A lot of violence in the neighborhood. Uh, we have so many deaths with our children and their families that we actually have grief counseling on site and post-traumatic stress disorder counseling. And it was um, reputed to be a program that could help both staff and students. And we'd really done a lot of work for students, although we knew we needed more, but we hadn't really gotten into a plan that would help staff as well. And, it said help with burnout, help with stress-related health problems. And so I said, And they said it was easy. So I said, let's get some folks to go over and find out what it's about. So that was it.
The thing is that you have to remember that I'm old and I'm Irish. And I will basically disbelieve anything until I see it, until I try it. And so when it was suggested, I thought, I am willing, I'm open-minded, but didn't really believe that it could possibly work. Teenage students, 12, 13-year-olds, sitting quietly, not. But seeing is believing. And it's amazing.
When I learned it, I know it was different because TM is just not closing your eyes. It's deeper than that. It makes you makes you feel better, makes you more energized, and takes away all your stress.
The school used to be like very loud. Now it's all mellow and calm, just like how school's supposed to be. It's still loud, but it's like when you're in class, it's quieter than it normally is. Yeah. You pass by the hallways and you can't hear anything but the teacher. Now I want to do my work, and when I want to do my work, I get better grades when I want to do my work instead of somebody telling me to do my work. I can control my temper more.
You don't have a temper.
Well, you don't think she have a temper. If someone gets up in my face and starts talking about me, I can ignore them now. But before, I would probably snap and be like, "Well, let's fight then." But now I can control it.
There was one time I felt that, this is it, I was going to retire. I felt overstressed. But ever since then, the group of eighth grade teachers, we come together and we do meditation during our prep period, 7th period. And it's such a relaxing thing that I actually look forward to it. Right after 6th period, I put my stuff away and I'm ready. I'm walking the hallway, collecting all the teachers, because after that 20 minutes, you just feel revived. I'm ready to go another mile.
We get to start our school day in a calm and relaxed manner, and we get to end our school day in a calm and relaxed manner. I don't know if it's because the teachers are feeling less stressed and they can handle the crises more effectively in the classroom, or if the students are feeling more of a sense of calmness within themselves or acting out less. But maybe it's a combination of the two things. But we've definitely seen a change in the number of referrals to the counseling office, which of course is a positive thing and allows me to have a little bit more free time to do some things that I should really be doing and not handling this many crisis situations. So.
It kind of goes back to the proverb about teaching the man to fish. If you give him a fish for dinner, he's had dinner, but if you teach him how to fish, he'll be able to go out and get his own fish. And I think that's what this program is able to give to kids. This is not something that's just going to be for this year and next year. but it's something that they will be able to have as a lifelong tool to use. And that is very exciting to me.
My name is Tony Ryan. On a more formal setting, it's G. Anthony Ryan. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Schools for the Hampshire Regional School District. For those of you familiar with Western Massachusetts, that's about 90 miles due west. It's a pleasure to be here. I also have the distinct honor of being Chairman of the Board of Advisors for the Massachusetts Committee of Stress-Free Schools. This afternoon you will be introduced what the New York Times has called one of the best ideas of 2005, consciousness-based education.
Well, the first time I heard about it, I was at Everett, and I saw a videotape of students being interviewed who were also from the 2 middle schools that had been involved in Quiet Time, and I was absolutely impressed. I said, if we have a program that is so profoundly affecting students, from students who simply couldn't sleep at all at night, who actually could get a night's rest with some type of intervention called Quiet Time, I wanted to know what is going on. So I started working with severely emotionally disturbed children in a non-public school. So then from there, I ended up in the public school system, and I've been there for 25 years as a teacher, and I've had various roles in the district. Now I sit in the research planning and accountability department, and I look at many of the programs that we have in the district, and we try to see what effect do these programs have on student achievement. Well, we found that there was statistically significant growth, particularly at Visitation Valley, in terms of grades with the African Americans. They were leading their school. This is monumental for us because we're very much involved in the civil rights issue here in our district in San Francisco, particularly with the African American students. We have a consent decree. We have a achievement gap that is profound. We have one of the highest achieving urban districts with the largest achievement gap. So when we see there's an intervention that is dramatically for the positive affecting African American students, we have to investigate. So you have a student who's quick to anger, has difficulty focusing, concentrating, they have internal struggles. It's generations of trauma that they have experienced. This is not something they have control over. With TM, they can go in and make a dent in these horrible presenting behaviors that tick another person off. So you're a teacher in a classroom. You have 25 to 35 students. One student comes in who is suffering from trauma, and you have another one, you don't know what's happening to that student, but as soon as this student starts with the slightest thing can disturb them, then you have a second student, the two of them are off, and the whole classroom is disruptive. So if we can show that for post-traumatic stress syndrome children, this technique makes a difference, look at it compared to 27 sessions with a very high-priced psychiatrist. And this is something a child has control of. It's giving power and voice to the human being. That's a profound thing. And what used to disturb me when I worked with children in non-public schools is the adults around them wanted to just write them off. How can you write off a human being? They still have needs and aspirations, and so this nurtures that. This allows them to go inside and develop themselves. It's a very profound program.
Thank you for inviting me up here to Boston. You've heard a lot about the Transcendental Meditation technique, what it can do, I thought I'd spend a few minutes talking to you about the research that's been done, very exciting research all over the world, in fact. Research that's been done in children, adolescents in particular, in adults, even in senior citizens, about how this simple mental technique can affect health. As we've heard during the Transcendental Meditation technique, the mind settles down. We actually experience thought at finer and finer, subtler and subtler levels of the mind, until we go beyond that conscious thinking and arrive at this state in which we're maximally alert. We're very awake inside, but at the same time the body is enjoying a very deep physiological rest, in many ways deeper than even that deep rest we get during deep sleep. So here we have a fourth major state of consciousness. We all know about the three states of consciousness that we all experience: waking, sleeping, and dreaming. Here's a fourth state of consciousness that's different from waking, sleeping, or dreaming, because it's a state of rest and maximal alertness at the same time. No other state is quite like this, where the body enjoys this deep decrease in metabolic activity, deep rest, and yet the mind is fully alert. And as Dr. Aronander showed us, this has profound effects in terms of the brain physiology and this coherent or synchronous functioning between left and right and back and front parts of the brain.
I've been in education 35 years. I began as a high school teacher, but I've taught every grade level from kindergarten to graduate school. I've worked at San Francisco State teaching graduate students. I've worked with the National Science Foundation consulting with their systemic grants, both urban and rural. I've worked with a nonprofit in Los Angeles called the Achievement Council. And then I became a principal. And I've been a principal now 13 years. Probably one of the most challenging jobs I've ever had in my 35-year career. One of the most challenging schools in this district, no matter how you measure it. Low performing. They come to us low performing. We have 3 years to try to turn that around. I'm happy to say that last year we raised the API 40 points. It was the highest increase of any middle school in this district. So we're proud of that. We are nowhere near where we need to be, but we keep working at it. Our theme this year is getting better at getting better. I began my career in Eastside High School in Paterson, New Jersey, and there was this program called TM, and I was a first-year teacher. Talk about a stressful school. Paterson Eastside High School is probably one of the toughest schools in the nation. They made the movie Lean on Me because of the conditions at that school. We don't want the drugs to do it. We want it to be natural. We want it to be from within. We don't want any external depressants or stimulants. We want students doing it for themselves. And meditation teaches them that. I don't need children on Ritalin and on amphetamines and depressants and Valiums. I need them meditating. I mean, it's just natural. Since meditation has come to Everett, we've had less violence, we've had improved test scores, we've had students whose lives are incredibly stressful be able to deal with it a whole lot better. I believe the one-on-one lessons that they receive and then the twice-a-day meditation makes a difference in their day-to-day. Students who have in the past acted up or not know what to do with their energy now have it more focused. There's a time in the school twice a day when you can feel the silence. And last year we meditated, and we'll do it again this year before testing. And I really believe that doing that, relieving the stress before any test, as you know, people get stress and a lot of anxiety. The meditation before the testing made a profound difference in our test scores. And I hope to see them improve again this year as a result of that. A quiet time belongs in education because during these very turbulent, unsettling, low budget, no budget, stress, violence, war, belongs in education because all that static interferes with the child keeping an open mind being less stressed and learning more. And meditation is the tool that would help them deal with everything that's swirling around them. It's a settling, it's an anchor, it's a balance for them, and I believe it opens their mind to learning. It's very difficult to learn if you're stressed. It shuts the mind down. And I see meditation as a way of opening the mind and relaxing children. I know it does that for me on a daily basis, and I've seen the changes in my students.
I just want to start by saying there are way too many benefits of quiet time, and our school is very lucky to have this program here. One benefit is it reduces stress, and I know that in the 5th grade I've been under a lot of stress, and I used to have very bad migraines. But now, thanks to quiet time, I don't have migraines, and I don't fight as much anymore over like dumb arguments and things of that nature. And another thing I see with my friends is they don't argue over small things either. They used to fight over pencils, really useless stuff, but now they just get along. They don't really worry about the small things anymore.
I think I'm more calm. I get more sleep, and my grades improved a lot. Ever since I did TM, I listen more in class, and my teachers think I've improved.
I'm more relaxed. I have a better communication with my friends, and I focus on my schoolwork more.
Before quiet time, I wasn't that calm. I was always mad. But now, since I've done quiet time, I've been more calm and more ease. I get more along with people.
That I don't get in trouble no more, and that I can concentrate in class more, and I won't get into arguments. And I used to get like 1.50s and stuff, and now my grade went up to a 3.0.
Last year I had 3.5s, but this year I had 4.0s. I noticed there are a lot of changes in the school, like no more fights and less suspensions.
Before TM started at school, it was mayhem here. It was a lot of people fights going on, like basically every day. People were not just friendly, they were mean. At my old school, I would fight a lot. I would like just push people around. I would just start arguing with people for no reasons. Now I don't fight anymore. I'm not really aggressive. I would really scream at some people. I don't do that anymore. I stutter a lot sometimes, and now I'm like, as I do quiet time, I don't stutter that much anymore.
Before TM, I used to be really fidgety, like I moved a lot, couldn't stay in my seat for very long. And then now, after I did TM, I can sit down for a whole class without standing up, and I could concentrate more too. So before TM, it was really hard for me to concentrate. And after TM, I could concentrate really well.
I've been getting more A's, getting good at tests, waking up early. School is getting better.
Before quiet time, I couldn't sleep at night because I had too many thoughts. And after quiet time, I could sleep very well and wake up not being tired. Also, at school, during tests, I feel less stressed and I can do better.
Hi, Mr. Lynch. My name is Myra, and I want to say thanks because quiet time has really helped me. And I know some other of my friends that are thankful for quiet time. It has helped me because I'm more calm. Like I'm like a type of person that get mad really easily, and quiet time has helped me calm down. Like just keep stuff to myself. It also has helped me with my grades. My grades have been going up, and I think it has helped the school because I haven't seen a fight since like a long time ago. And before, the school would have fights, like you would see a fight on one corner and then you would see another one like every, I don't know, every period or something. And now it's like, it's really calm around the school. Like, it makes people feel safe.
It has to come from within. All these surface cures don't address the nightmare going on inside the students, inside the human beings. So, if you make smaller classrooms with more one-on-one teachers' time, bright-colored schoolrooms, new books, metal detectors, cameras in the hallway, it's not going to do a thing for the trouble inside us human beings. If you give them this technique to dive within and experience the big treasury within every human being, I'll tell you where you're going.
Yeah, you're going to show us with the
This
drawing.
is the surface of life. Surface.
Okay.
Here we have over here matter. Here we have mind. Scientists about 300 years ago wanted to know what this matter was, what this glass really was, what this metal really was, what we really were, and they started looking deeper into matter, and they found very quickly, molecules, atoms, smaller and smaller particles, electrons. We learn all these things in school, but they found these things on deeper levels of matter, smaller and smaller particles. They found 4 forces, and on a deeper level, the 4 became 3, and on a deeper level, the 3 became 2, and about 35 years ago, they discovered the unified field, a field of unity, oneness, the unity of all the particles and all the forces of creation. Not only did they discover this unified field, but they said that everything that is a thing has emerged from this field.
So, in other words, we're all made of this unified field.
This field is our home. And it's very strange because there is a science of consciousness. This is a field of pure consciousness. Consciousness is the key.
How do you near with this pure consciousness?
Okay.
That's the process of meditation.
Meditation. Right? Transcendental meditation is a mental technique. This level, we're talking about mind. How you get there is through a mental technique. Transcendental meditation will easily and effortlessly take you from the surface to the source of thought, which is the transcendent. You go through subtler levels of mind, subtler levels of intellect, and at the border, you transcend and experience this unbounded ocean of pure consciousness, the source of thought.
Meditation is a mental technique. And what is fundamentally happening, what is so exciting to me as an educator, is what's happening in the brain, what's happening in the mind. And the next chart just shows that with modern investigative procedures like the EEG, electroencephalogram, and the MEG, and SPECT, and PET, and MRI, and functional MRI, we can study what's going on in the brain during the meditation experience. And it's a very profound transformation, as this chart shows. On the left-hand side, the top view and front view of the brain, and on the right-hand side as well. But the difference is, on the left-hand side is a student, a subject, an ordinary, agitated, stressed, waking consciousness. Now, there are little dots on the scalp in this picture. They indicate the position of electrodes measuring the neuronal firings. And you'll see on this chart, occasionally there are bars connecting neighboring points on the brain. Where you see a bar, it means that those neighboring parts of the brain are communicating. They're functioning in a correlated way, an integrated way. But in ordinary agitated waking consciousness, on the left, there's not much coordination in the brain, not much order, not much coherence. The brain is functioning, frankly, in a very scattered fashion. On the right-hand side, we show the very same student 3 months later, practicing the Transcendental Meditation program and experiencing this meditative state, this expanded, silent state of consciousness. what you see is the whole brain is, you could say, crisscrossed by coherence. That means the whole brain functions in concert, in a completely integrated and coherent way. Orderliness of brain functioning.
Now, I myself had my own experience about transcendental meditation that I'd like to share to explain why I'm here today. It's been a long journey for me. In 1979, I was a law professor at the University of Dayton, teaching in the law school there. And I'd never heard of the word meditate. Somehow it had passed me by. I think I may have heard of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, but not something that registered significantly for me. I was asked to be on the accreditation evaluation team of Maharishi International University, now called Maharishi University of Management. And when I went out there, we were provided a blue volume then of scientific studies. We were part of I think it was an 8-member team of the North Central Association to accredit the university. And I was astonished by the quality of the interaction in the classrooms, the interaction between and among students and the faculty of the classroom. It frankly did not compare at all to anything that I had experienced before, having taught at the undergraduate or graduate level. I was so impressed that after an appropriate time and after the accreditation had been granted, I came back and I learned how to meditate. I will say I had my research assistants look up all the available research why I shouldn't learn how to meditate and what was available against it, what a good academic should do. Could not find any. I did learn how to meditate, and I had really quite a powerful experience from the very first day. And I practiced meditation for 25 years and never talked about it. My friends, my family knew about it, but I never talked about it in my professional life. Instead, I've been in higher education 35 years. I've spent that time focusing on innovation in higher education. I have set up a law school. I set up the Antioch Law School, set up many bachelor's, master's, even doctoral level programs. I've also closed a number down. I've worked with the main researchers in the country, published, led workshops on portfolio-based learning, competency-based learning, outcomes-based education. I'm sure many of you in your classrooms are dealing with very many of the same innovations. Collaborative learning, active learning. All of these are very powerful learning techniques, but as Bobby said earlier, at the surface level, they do not build the character and the capacity of our students from the inside out. And over time, their impact is not as profound, is not as significant as we as educators would want. I've gone all around the world studying innovation. In 2004, I had the privilege to work with the government of Hong Kong, studied all the universities there. Last year, I was in Europe studying education there. And I say to you that, and this is something that academics don't often do, because we often don't believe there is a single thing that will make a significant difference. But I say to you, there is one thing that will make a significant difference. I have read the research. I've talked with the researchers who've done the research. It's done at the premier universities in the world. I have seen it and personally experienced it in my own life and in the institutions where TM is practiced. Recently, in the San Francisco Bay Area, I've had a chance to interact with a group of students who are also in a study on ADHD and have seen the impact before and after meditation. Finally, I just want to say why I am so passionate about this. Last year, I had the privilege of attending the international conference of the World Academy of Arts and Sciences, to which I had just been elected a fellow. It was in November in Zagreb, Croatia. There were scientists, legislators, politicians, social scientists, people from all different walks of life in this academy from all over the world, meeting for a number of days. The title of the conference was The Future of Knowledge. There was a panel, one of the most controversial panels on the future of the human being. There were 4 people on the panel. 3 of those people spoke about a future of the human being that was quite, I will say, chilling, but remarkable. One of the panelists spoke about the pharmacological future, or that's not the right word, the drug-oriented future of what it means to be a human being. He talked proudly about having been on Ritalin, having a son on Ritalin, and how important it is to use chemicals in the brain in the same way we use diet, cosmetic surgery, or the like. How coming online in the next decade there will be a number of drugs that will increase intelligence, do all different kinds of things. No discussion of side effects. I came away completely convinced this is not the future I want for my children. It's not the future I want for kids who are in school, that some get access to these kinds of cocktails of drugs and others do not. But for me, the future is to build the capacity of the learner from the inside out, where the ethical responsibility comes naturally and spontaneously because of who we are as human beings. TM does that. I've seen it. I urge you to consider it for your schools. Thank you very much.
This presents to us the possibility of bringing fulfillment to our quest for knowledge. Our thirst for knowledge can be satisfied by developing the mind, developing the container of knowledge. We are reading this and this and this and reading so much, and as we go on to the higher education, the subjects become less and less and less, and eventually only one subject. Because the container of knowledge is not big enough to contain all spheres of knowledge. That is why speciality is special. Either history, geography, this and this. Specialized education. This only means the container of knowledge can contain only so much and no more. The present education is like bringing information here, there, and gathering information. If one remembers, then fine. If doesn't, then the education is not complete. What is necessary is, it's like we are given a knife to cut the vegetable and keep on cutting the vegetable, and then cut the vegetable in triangles and quadrants and this different designs. Fine. But what about sharpening the knife? If we don't take off time to sharpen the knife, all our knowledge to cut it in different pieces like that and like that and like that may just be a bore and a burden. If the knife doesn't cut, then what to do? If the mind doesn't work, then what to do? So with meditation, we sharpen the mind. Sharpen the mind means expand the mind, clear mind. With clear mind, we study as much as is possible. All the branches of learning in the relative field are highly essential. But the container of knowledge should also be enlarged. The mind should also be sharpened. The mind should also be developed. And the man should not remain using only a small portion of the mind. No. This is something which has been missing, and it is now open to all the fields of education to incorporate this transcendental meditation in their daily routine.
When you relate something you're doing on the outside to what's going on the inside, it really sticks with you. It really gets tied in with what you're doing in everything in life. And so when you do that, it's like you know things. You really, really know things because you're knowing yourself within the knowledge. And that's how you learn.
Modern science goes outside. It tries to understand what's underlying objects, why people behave, why people think. It's always looking outside to see those fundamental principles. Rather than looking outside to understand life, the masters in the Vedic tradition looked inside. They actually said, what's underlying my thoughts? Where are my thoughts coming from? Where's the creativity? Where's the intelligence of my thoughts? Who am I?
Vedic knowledge really isn't just for Vedic science majors. Every class that I've taken at this university, we talk about the discipline and then whatever we're learning, and then we look at it in terms of the broader whole of the discipline. So we'll look at Shakespeare and relate him to the whole field of literature. And then we'll take that and we'll relate it back to our experience of transcending. So that it's not just we're learning about literature or science or business, but we're learning about this aspect of it, and then we're learning about how it relates to ourselves. So it actually means something in terms of our lives.
What I love about the knowledge here is it's based on me. It's not so much a philosophy or a belief that someone imposes, but something for the experiencer to actually experience and validate for themselves.
Maharishi wanted to bring the knowledge, the ancient knowledge of Vedic wisdom that he had gained from his master, to the public, to the world, because he felt like that was his knowledge was the tool to bring peace to our world. He brought out the technology to know about the self in transcendental meditation, and he brought out the technologies of teaching about the self in Vedic science and Vedic wisdoms. And that is all integrated here, and I think that's why this university is named after him.
Indeed, Bucky's mind seemed to move at the speed of light. Take his 1933 Dymaxion car, Dymaxion being shorthand for dynamic and maximum.
Produce this new ground taxing car of the honored medium transport. Because if just been going to go on the ground, I knew people would call it an automobile. It wasn't designed just to be an automobile at all.
I have been, however, deeply concerned with exploring for faculties which all human beings do have, which they tend to exhibit from time to time as children, but lose very quickly due to the misunderstanding of the life experienced by their elders, tend to guide the children in ways that disconnect the switchboard of extraordinary connections with extraordinary faculties, with which we do have. Now, in 1927, when I started to explore for the faculties of which we may be endowed, I became very aware of the fact that there was meditation in the East, in India, and what I learned of it at the time made me feel that the meditators were tending to engage in their study, their discipline, very much for their own advantage. Therefore, it came as a great delight to me in meeting Maharishi to learn that he, in his studies, had discovered that in the very earliest recorded thinking in India, the meditator was exploring for these faculties that humans have. I think that what has made Maharishi loom into our ken in the Western world in very short order is this very great change in it, and his rediscovery of the earlier truths. I'm not surprised that the earlier thinkers knew these things. In fact, as I go back to the Gitas and these earliest writings, I'm overwhelmed by the profound simplicity of the total comprehension that manifests by them. So that I feel that Maharishi and I have come together, both of us exploring for what it is we're endowed with, but both inspired by how we could turn the advantage towards the many. So I'd like to say to the news, the great news is that young America has its arms open for the truth and love, tenderness, compassion, and for the only way in which we can know the truth through our mind. But now that young world is gone beyond just being dismayed and being disapproving of the non-truth, but is demonstrating in this wave of inspiration by Maharishi, demonstrating its yearning, its determination for humanity to survive on our planet. And very deep forces are operative here, the forces of the great intellect of the universe itself. And this is the news. It's not easy to report in newspapers this kind of news, but this is the news.
This is the vision of fuller life for the world. Vision of fuller life. You heard Mr. Fuller saying that everyone has that potentiality. Everyone has those faculties which in 1927 he was trying to unfold for the good of others. And he had been repeating, everyone has those faculties. And now it is given to everyone to unfold those faculties and use it for himself and for others. This kind of individuals we want to structure. Science of creative intelligence, when adopted in all the educational organizations, then the purpose of education will be complete. Education inspires to create a man in his full value. Integrated man is the aspiration of every educational system. So the message that Mr. Fuller brings, the message of fuller life. Don't let the inherent qualities remain behind the scene. Bring them out, unfold them, and make use of them in daily life so that every aspect of life becomes fuller.
Normally, like all day, I'm writing a song of some kind in just the back of my head.
That style of cello, that's some pretty amazing stuff, what he's doing. A really important thing with Rashad, though, is that he was what introduced me to TM.
The first our mom learned when she was young, and then when I was like 13 and 14 and 15 and 16 and stuff, I was like reading a bunch of books on like altered states of consciousness. I was clearly experimenting, looking for some kind of methods. Like I didn't know what I was looking for. And then my mom was always like, you got to just try dental meditation because it's easy and simple. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to let some teacher teach me. I can do it myself. No discipline, no training, just getting myself all worked up over like watering the plants, and everything was a big deal. And like, so finally I was like, okay. My mom was like, I'm going to buy it for you for your 17th birthday. You just try it out and see what you think, you know? And then I was like, it's easy.
And I saw that, and I was like so into skating then, but I was also starting to get into smoking too much weed and creating all these unnecessary problems where I just became like, it just sucked. I mean, like, why can't I, like, I want to get stoned every day and skate. It's so fun. Like, why can't I do that? And it did not work. It didn't work with school. It didn't work with my family. It didn't work with the law. It didn't work with this town. I saw my brother meditating, you know, like every day, and I saw him just ripping at life. I saw him get that scholarship, and I just saw like so much rad stuff happening for him. I saw my mom doing the same thing because she was regular then too.
Is anyone can do that?
Anyone you can.
Even if you're a beginner? Or,
you will transcend, experience pure consciousness from your first meditation. It is not a concentration form of meditation nor a contemplation. They say any mental activity is going to keep you on the surface. You'll try, but you won't get here. This is the field that does everything for us human beings.
Okay, so
Transcendental meditation is just a key that opens the door to this level.
And you're practicing every day, for example. What does it
Twice
take?
a day.
Twice a day.
You go 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening, and then the rest of the time you go about your business. You don't have to give up something. You don't have to believe it will work, and it will still work.
I mean, you didn't turn into
It
a
is
Buddhist
not a
or
religion to dive within and experience pure consciousness. It is not a sect to take this mental technique and experience pure consciousness. This consciousness has qualities. It is just an ocean of infinite intelligence, infinite creativity, infinite love, infinite happiness, infinite energy, infinite peace. When you experience it truly, you infuse some of this. So whatever size ball of consciousness you had, now it starts to expand. And when you expand consciousness, there is a side effect. And the side effect, it's so beautiful. Negativity starts to recede.
Finally, I want to show one slide that shows what happens all too often. Next slide, please. In the absence of this meditative experience. And what you see on the right side and left side this is the bottom view of the brain as revealed by what's called SPECT imaging technology. And if you look at the brain on the right-hand side, which is a violent student, you see that the brain appears to be filled with holes. Now, these aren't actual holes in the gray matter, but they are parts of the brain that are not actively firing, not actively participating in our moment-by-moment experience. They're called functional holes. And you can also see on the right-hand side that there's a clustering of these holes in the critical prefrontal cortex. At the top of that chart, representing the prefrontal cortex here behind the forehead, the so-called CEO of the brain, or executive center of the brain. It's also called the higher brain, because it sits over the rest of the brain, the primitive brain, the reactive brain, and exerts executive control. It's a rational filter against primitive, aggressive, impulsive, violent behavior. Unfortunately, under stress, the prefrontal cortex shuts down.
My name is David George, and I'm 25 years old. I was an infantryman in the 101st Airborne, just combat patrols, missions, and looking for weapons of mass destruction. It was after we got back. It probably wasn't for like about a year that I started thinking about what actually happened. Yeah, and how it affected me. Every day I would have a little bit of each feeling of being pretty much in the war still, I guess, in the back of my mind. You know, going into places and looking at everybody and assessing who might be a threat. Driving. I remember the first time I stopped at the intersection where I would stop at after I leave my house. I got extremely paranoid because it was dark. I was in my car, and I was stopped. So that means I'm a sitting target. Wasn't able so much to control, I guess, my emotions or something like that. But anyways, I ended up getting diagnosed with PTSD. At first, the only thing I couldn't wait to do was meditate, because that meant I would not be stressed out at least for 20 minutes. Nothing would bother me. And I went from looking forward to only meditating to, well, now, tomorrow I have the whole day to feel like angst-free and like not bothered by anything. And if I knew about this while I was in, I probably would still be in. My anger's gone. I could care less where I'm at now. I can go back in the crowds, like I've gone to the mall by myself, and I've driven into the city, which is something I would never do. I didn't realize that for the last 5 years I was having like anxiety attacks every day because I was just so used to just pushing them aside. I didn't want it this way. I could tolerate it, but I didn't want to be the way I was, and that's what TM's done for me, and that's what I could say to everybody. If you want to be the way you are, you know, do some TM, and then, you know, go ahead and live again.
Suffering is dominating life everywhere. Tension and stress and strain are increasing in every country, whether it's a affluent society or a developing nation, but suffering is everywhere. It is possible for every man to go deep within and saturate his conscious mind with inner happiness, with that unlimited intelligence that dwells at the source of thought. The principle of transcendental meditation is simple. Being is bliss in its nature, is infinite happiness. Mind is always moving in the direction of greater happiness. It is the experience of everyone. Wherever the mind goes, it goes in the direction of greater happiness. And because the nature of inner being is bliss, infinite happiness, therefore, the mind during transcendental meditation takes that inward course in a most spontaneous manner. In this meditation, we do not concentrate or control the mind. We let the mind follow its natural instinct towards greater happiness, and it goes within and gains bliss consciousness in the being. Yes. The technique is, we take a specific thought which suits us, which is called the mantra, or a suitable sound for us, which we receive from the trained teacher of transcendental meditation. And these teachers are found everywhere in the world. I have trained them properly, and they give a suitable word, and the man experiences the thought of that sound and starts minimizing that thought to experience the finer state of that thought, until the source of thought is fathomed and the conscious mind reaches the transcendental area of being. So from gross thought to the subtle state of thought, to the subtlest state of thought, this is the path of transcendental meditation, till the conscious mind reaches the bliss consciousness, or transcendental consciousness, or pure consciousness, or the state of being.
I was one of those naysayers. You know, I'm a Southern foot-stomping, foot-washing Baptist. And when you start talking about interfering with our religion and that connection between God, you say, oh, no. That's not going to happen. So when they came to us and they talked about transcendental meditation, I said, I don't think so. Lynn would come back to me again and say, you think you want to try it? I don't think so. So I said, well, let me do some research on this transcendental meditation. Did some research. So my son is a doctor of clinical psychology. So I got on the phone. I said, I need some counseling, son. So he said, Mom, what's going on? I said, they're just starting this new program called Transcendental Meditation. What can you tell me about it and the mantra? He said, oh, Mom, you don't have anything to worry about. It's just where you have quiet time and you get in connection with your inner self. I said, you sure about that, son? He said, yes, Mom.
I really felt like that was the secret. That was like the secret to life. I thought that was like, it was like cheating or something. I was like, man, I got this power. Like, I can do anything. And it really felt like that was what was missing from man's life. Meditation is just the missing link to me.
reaching full human potential, I guess that kind of became my goal after I started meditating. And I mean, I think that should be anybody's goal, but for me, like, I'm gonna do that, and I'm on my way there. And 4 years later, like, I'm on the road to that, and so many things have manifested that I've wanted to do. I mean, and it's all happening right now. It's amazing. Meditating every day, like, that's the secret weapon. I mean, that's just your tool.
Thank you very much. I wanted to try to give you some insight into establishing a TM program, because I'm one of the pioneers, I guess, Doc and I, so it takes some doing. So I wanted to share some things with you. We instituted our program in 1996. This was a very big deal because we had been a private school from 1978 until 1995, and so we were just with these parents and teachers and staff members for a little over a year when we brought this program in. Now imagine telling them that you're going to establish a transcendental meditation program. So we have 168 students at that time. We have 450 now, but we had 168 at that time because we were becoming a charter school, a public school that is not a member of the Detroit public school system. The program was introduced through Bud Liebler, who was the vice president of Daimler Chrysler at the time, the VP of marketing. He and his wife, Nancy Liebler, Nancy being a psychologist, approached me about having the program in our school because they knew I had been meditating since 1973. My husband and I both learned in 73. And they needed somebody who was an administrator who already knew the benefits, and who would, and also they needed a program where there wouldn't be a lot of bureaucracy. I just had to talk to my board about it to have it approved. Well, I have a board of 9 members, and 3 of them were meditators. I didn't know that. 3 were meditators. They were like, of course, yes, please, by all means, bring it in. I also didn't know that in the 1970s there was a Detroit educator, Shirley McNeil, who had introduced the technique to so many teachers that were part of the Detroit public school system. That was very interesting to me. She was not able to get it into the school because of the bureaucracy, but she did, in fact, introduce it to a lot of the teachers. So anyway, we became a meditating school. Now, this was a perfect fit for us because we're kind of off anyway. And we talked about how important it was to help develop skills in children where they really were able to listen much better, able to comprehend much better, to be more patient, to sit still. All of these things were really important. So we thought if you get a deeper rest, then of course you're able to do all of these things much better, and then you perform much better in school, which was a real hit with the parents. Now, I also found out, too, that it was very important to make sure that you kept this as academic as possible, because religion is playing a very different role in our society now. I mean, it's almost confrontational. You have to almost have it passed by religious leaders if you're doing anything at all that says meditation in it. In fact, if I had had my way, I would have called it something else so we wouldn't have to deal with that, and it would have gone much smoother. But anyway, meditation is a scary word to people because they associate it with religion. So you have to be very, very careful that you show that this has no connection, which is why it has to be done within an academic context. And the rest has to be related, the rest benefits have to be related to the academic context, so that nobody thinks you're believing in anything, because there is nothing to believe in. It is a physical technique. I also found out that, I also wanted to say that I really didn't have any quote-unquote problems in the school that I was trying to resolve. You know, we're pretty happy group, pretty good parents and teachers, so it really wasn't anything I was trying to resolve. And I'm saying that because I don't want any of you who say, well, we don't have any problems, so we don't really need it. We're just fine. Well, none of us are really just fine. I mean, this society just doesn't have anybody much in it. It's just really fine. So I don't want you to think that you don't need to do this because everything's just fine.
We find there are 2 sides to knowledge. The object of knowledge, and the subject of knowledge, the knower. What present system of education provides? The knowledge of the object. What it misses? The knowledge of the subject, the knowledge of the knower. For the stream of knowledge, two banks. On one side the object, on one side the knower. With these 2 points of references, knower and the object, the first point of reference is the knower. Very important. When the mind is dull, when the knower is sleepy, the knowledge is something different than what it is when one is wide awake, fresh in the morning. Completely. The perception is different. The understanding is different. Emotions are different. So knowledge is different in different states of consciousness. It's very clear, we know from our own experience. And what education provides is knowledge of physical values, physics, chemistry, biology, or astronomy. Different disciplines are there to provide information about different fields of life. Everything is right, nothing is wrong there. What is not provided is concerned with that, and that is the knowledge of the knower. Without the knowledge of the knower, when the knower is in ignorance about himself, the whole structure of knowledge is as if baseless.
And what we learn about in school is usually just the things that we can touch and feel. You see, it's easy in science. I can just take a tree outside and I can cut it up and I can see that's wood, and I can see the wood is carbon, and I can see there's molecules, and I can break up the molecules and see their atoms. I can break that up and see it's electrons and protons and neutrons, and I can go smaller and smaller and smaller. I can see quarks and bosons and leptons, and I can go smaller and smaller and smaller. But ultimately, these are all things that I can break up, but yet thought, feelings, emotion, love, greatness, passion, all these things are completely intangible. I can't touch them. But are they not real? If I say to you, are your thoughts not real? Your thoughts are as real as this table is real. And yet in school, they can't teach you about that stuff because they can't touch it. They can't pull it out of your head. You can't put it under a microscope. You can't stick it on the wall as a picture. And so we tend to only learn about a tiny fraction of life. And it's because we learn about a tiny fraction of life that we don't develop this full potential of who we are, and we don't become the magi and the Jedis and the ninjas and the warriors and the great human beings that we were born to be. And it's because education is not whole. So in thinking about the importance of education, which I wanted to do, and Tati and Kello were asking if I could speak about something called consciousness-based education, which is something I came across some years ago, and I'm going to speak about that. A very unique system of education, but if one were to think, what is this thing of consciousness-based education, starting with this word consciousness, really if I were just to add two words together, the importance of education and the importance of greatness. If you could add education and greatness together, that would be the idea of consciousness-based education.
Most people's understanding of prison and prison life is it is so framed by what we see put out by, you know, the entertainment industry and all of that. But the fact of the matter is, they are terrible pressure cookers. Even good ones, even good prisons are terrible pressure cookers. And it's almost like you take normal life, normal social life, and you somehow distill it to its very essence. And that's what it's like to be in a prison. Well, staff have to walk into that every day. and inmates have to live with it every day. I can tell you that many, many of my friends that I've worked with over the years in corrections, they retire and they're dead. They're dead within 3 to 5 years.
When I meditate, it's like a free feeling. It takes me away from the prison completely. I zone everybody out, everything out. Like I'm not even here for those 20, 30 minutes that I meditate. I mean, the bad part about it is when I come back to reality, I'm still here. But when I do meditate, I'm relaxed, free. I'm back on the streets. I mean, nothing can touch me. It's a great feeling.
Spending time with myself, that's actually what it really is, you know, getting in touch with your inner self. And everybody inside is a good person, you know. We just make bad choices. And spending time with myself on the inside makes me feel good, you know. So I actually know who I am. I'm starting to know who I am now, you know.
I think that TM can really help people to broaden their focus. And I think that you can't teach compassion to a person, but that there's something about TM that brings out compassion. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it works, but it does. And I think that a compassionate person is a healthier person, and as a doctor, I guess that's what I'm here about. You know, really, I'd like to see my patients be healthier. And bottom line, if they can do that, maybe they can stay out of here too. That'd be a good thing. I wish they could put me out of work. I'll go work somewhere else, you know. But
I think it's just mostly been a general feeling. I mean, people seem to feel better about transcendental meditation, or the effects of transcendental meditation. I think they're healthier. They seem, again, more calm. I've got some of the folks that have taken transcendental meditation. I guess if you look at their personalities prior to this, some are a little sparky, some are a little, and I've noticed, I think, sort of a leveling off a little bit, not quite so reactive sometimes to situations.
We need to break down this wall, right, that separates staff from inmate, that it benefits neither. And I think that TM really does kind of get to what's common between us all. And to the degree that we can do that and still maintain, you know, all the safe and secure institutions, all of those things, to the degree that we can do that and recognize that most men under our charge also want to grow as human beings. I think that makes us grow as human beings.
We're about public safety. I am passionate about creating public safety and making sure there's no more victims in the community. The way to do that is to reach what the strengths are and what the goodness is inside about everybody in the prison system. If we don't do that, we know they will go out and harm people again. So if you could just create an environment of healing, an environment that allows this goodness to ripple back up, I think the sky's the limit. And I think the public could save a great deal of money, and really we could create a lot better society. A much more humane prison, a much more effective prison.
And under chronic stress, which can pervade some of our classrooms, indeed maybe whole parts of the world, the prefrontal cortex shuts down chronically and fails to develop properly. And if it doesn't develop by the age of 25, it doesn't develop at all. So adolescence, the school years, are vitally important years for the development of the precious brain. And under stress, brain functioning and brain development is fundamentally retarded. In fact, ADHD, we'll hear in a few minutes, this inability to control one's attention, this impulsivity and hyperactivity is just the result of the lack of development of the critical prefrontal cortex due to stress.
Part of what we're doing, we're going to teach kids who have ADD to meditate and see how it helps them. And so I want to get a sense of how ADD affects you. So you have ADD?
Yes.
You know you got it?
Yes.
Okay. How can you tell?
Well, when I get frustrated, I get overly frustrated sometimes. When I came through my work, I shut down too easily, and I sometimes just have problems overall working and just keeping my anger under control.
I can't sit straight, like sit there for a while and not fidget, and I can't concentrate for a long time. And I can get distracted easily.
Sometimes it's harder for me to read and pay attention in class.
Okay. And is that true at home too, or when you're trying to do homework? Or?
Yeah, trying to do homework is kind of tough too.
Well, let me ask you about, do you know what stress is?
Yes.
When you feel stressed, pressured, or tense?
I have a lot. I always have a lot.
A lot of stress?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that. When do you feel stressed? How do you feel stressed?
It's mostly when I'm doing homework. Like I said, when I do something wrong, I could say I'm a lean, mean stress machine. It's helped me with my schoolwork, not getting as frustrated with my friends, and just not getting so angry with my parents, doing my homework better, not getting into so much fights at school, not getting people angry, and stuff like that.
It's kind of easier for me to focus and concentrate my energy on one thing than, like, going and trying to work on one thing and then fidgeting and trying to stop that and then listen to the teacher at the same time.
I'm much more calmer now than I used to be, and less hyper, and much more mature than I was. And now all my friends want me to come over to their house.
Well, I don't stress as much anymore, unless it's like with my friends or whatever, but I don't stress that much anymore. So I'm basically, what it's doing is it's making me be able to focus so I'm not under stress.
It makes me a lot more confident in myself, because then I know that if I can't get a few things, I don't need to get stressed out about it. I just need to take a little time, go to something else, and then come back to it and work on it.
Because of TM, have been able to become more focused in class, or able to participate, or able to remain on task for the entire class period.
I enjoy meditating because I get disturbing thoughts washed away. Then when you come out of meditating, the problem's just gone. It's not really there no more. The natural process is not hard. It's very easy. And anyone can do it if they just learn and try.
I had a student that came last year, extremely volatile, very angry. And he'll come into my room and he'll say, miss, I need to meditate. And I'll give him his quiet room, his quiet space. He hasn't been suspended once.
In the students who have been trained, there are fewer disciplinary issues. There's a change in the kids who have taken the opportunity to look on the serious side of TM and to enhance their own inner selves.
I needed to relax. I need to get a hold of myself again, because I think I lost her somewhere. And I think what draws people to want to meditate is for their personal gain. They just want to see themselves excel and be a better person.
What I've been able to do through transcendental meditation is to stay very calm, and there is like a peacefulness I have found in me, that I have real compassion and understanding.
Well, in this classroom, I've scheduled TM twice a day, and it has worked out extremely well. The students are more focused. They're certainly more relaxed. And because it is stretched out at the beginning of the day and towards the end of the day, it not only helps them to stay focused during the school day, but it prepares them to be focused and more relaxed when they go home in the afternoon.
I looked at my transcript, and it's like freshman and sophomore and junior year, I had like
C's all across and stuff, and like D's and everything. And now I'm getting like A's and B's and stuff, and I was really proud of myself. And the only thing that I had noticed had changed was that I started doing the meditation, and I kind of like saw that as the reason why it had happened, because I've been able to concentrate much better.
TM is like a washing machine. I mean, it washes away stress, and it's good for students to, meditate, like I said.
I see TM as a tool for allowing students to become centered. The class overall, once we've been meditating, there's been a different level of attention, a different level of focus. I think it causes us to bond as a group.
I'm the type of person that do not talk to anybody about anything. I just keep it bottled up inside and just release it. Once it unleashes, then whosoever gets it, gets it. But meditation has helped me in a sense where I clear my mind, I'm more relaxed during the day, so I'm just more focused.
Since I learned to meditate, and as my first class when I finished that, I felt that in my classroom that I could sit and focus better and do my work. And when the teacher was talking, I could feel clearly what they were saying.
I've seen changes in my friends. I've seen friends more calm. They overlook a lot of things. When some people would get angry at certain situations, they would just more or less so relax and let go with the flow.
It's very heartening for me that within the last 2 years, this transcendental meditation has been adopted by the students of different universities in the world, and it is spreading in the lives of the youth so fast that it's just a great, a matter of very great pride and joy to see that the youth of the world, on whose shoulders lies the responsibility of the coming world, are really sensible. People ask me why the youth have taken to be so much. I say because they are the youth of the jet age. The youth of the jet age go faster than the youth of the what age? Bicycle age or motor age or something. Youth of the jet age, if they see something good, fine, go ahead, adopt it, and one step ahead they have gone.